Hello everyone, I'm Elisa Tuzzetti, TESOL Italy Gela Group Coordinator, and I'd like to welcome you to this session of the TESOL Italy 48th Convention. Certificates of attendance will be available to download from the convention page of the TESOL Italy website after the convention. Our speaker for this session is Jasmina Sturchli. Jasmina, a graduate of the University of Tuzla, has been teaching in a comprehensive school since 2006. Recently, she has been implementing the STEM approach in her English lessons, emphasizing its role in equipping students with practical skills while enhancing their critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and creativity skills. The title of Jasmina's session is STEMing English, Should I Breathe or Should I Know? Jasmina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you see everything well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so as already said, I'm Jasmina and I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. My topic for today is about STEAM and STEM education. And it is about project-based learning that on the topic of air pollution that I have implemented with my students. I have been into STEM and now STEAM because A has been added for quite some years. But believe me, I'm still learning a lot about this approach. This project is actually the result. I can't move, okay. This project is actually the result of a MOOC I completed last year. It was called STEM Out of the Box, a STEM approach to non-STEM subjects, which was organized by the European SchoolNet. It's an organization which aims to bring innovation in teaching and learning. European SchoolNet also coordinates Scientix. Scientix is one of the largest communities for science education in Europe. And you may wonder, what do we as English language teachers have to do with science? However, Scientix is not just for people working in a field of science education. It's also for people working in the field of STEM. And it offers many useful STEM and STEAM ideas which we can implement in our classrooms. There are ready-to-use materials, lesson plans, experiment manuals, and they provide a lot of these MOOCs, massive open online courses. Why and how did I start using STEM? When I went to school, I really hated science, even if my mother is a chemistry teacher. But the problem was that everything was actually theoretical. There was nothing practical. And one of the biggest problems in my country is that the situation is still the same. I have never used a magnifying glass in a school, let alone a microscope. So last year for Halloween, I became Miss Molecule. I still have my coat here with me, my wig. So I wanted, it was Halloween, so I put a costume on and I wanted to do a set of experiments with my students on the topic of Halloween. You can see here in the photo, I even baked witch fingers for my students. So I was teaching my students about acids and bases with just baking soda, vinegar, test tubes, and pipettes. And as it was Halloween, the experiment was called Fizzy Witch Potions. Also, I wanted them to learn what's the product when you mix an acid and a base, which is actually carbon dioxide. So here the task was to inflate the balloon without blowing. Actually, you just mix some baking soda and vinegar. I was also teaching my students about properties of polymers. And of course, I had to revise it all myself before. So those are long chains of molecules, etc., etc. Here, the experiment was called Ghost on a Stick. And the idea was to inflate a balloon, draw a ghost, and put a wooden skewer through a balloon without popping it. And it's really interesting that with a lot of these things at hand, students really pick up new vocabulary. For example, I would tell them, take some vinegar, and they will say, what's that? And then I say, smell it. Oh, Sirce, why did you say so, etc. So it's really easy for them to pick new words. We were also learning about light refraction. So in this activity, they draw something on a piece of paper, they put it in a Ziploc bag, and they put the bag into a bowl of water. When you stand above the bowl, looking from above, and you put the bag into water, the image actually disappears. Also, I was teaching my students about light refraction, about static electricity, sorry. So in this activity, you use bottle caps, you put a matchstick on them, and you cover them with a plastic cup. Then you use a plastic pipe, you rub it on your head. When you bring it close to this plastic cup, the matchstick actually falls down. I have to mention there is one student with special needs in this class. She didn't understand my English, but I was using all these things which were at my hand, and she really, really enjoyed and asked, like, can we have this every lesson? I will just go shortly over all STEAM areas just to tell you that it's not as difficult to do them as maybe you can think. You see, science is not all about experimenting. It is, although children really love it. Science is also about hypothesizing, making predictions, and testing those predictions. For example, for all these activities that I did with my students, I would ask them, can I inflate a balloon without blowing? And they will say, no, teacher, you can't. And then I put some baking soda into a balloon, some vinegar into a bottle. You stretch the balloon over the bottle. When the baking soda goes down, it mixes with the vinegar, it produces CO2, which inflates the balloon. Or I ask them, can I make images or your drawings disappear? And they say, no, you can't. Well, now you will see I can. And we also have to we should also know that children don't actually have to understand science to be able to do science. You see, my own children are my guinea pigs at home, so everything I do at school, I first do it with them at home. And one is 6 years old, so she really enjoys these things. What's important is that we teach students that making mistakes is welcomed, because that is what scientists do. So I remember my son was really mad when he couldn't predict something well, and I told him, like, what if the person who built a plane, for example, what if he gave up after the first wrong prediction? We wouldn't have plane today. T in STEAM stands for technology, and I know that many parents, myself included, struggle with children using too much phones, watching too much TV, etc. But we want to teach our students to use phones and computers for learning, for researching, for investigating, for making something. Also, T in technology stands for different man-made tools, like, I don't know, skewers, levers, and wheels. And when children play with these tools, they can actually they can understand the cause and effect. For example, if you add a wheel below a larger object, it will make it easier to move. And these actually support children's cognitive development. When it comes to E stands for engineering, and for me, it's like it reminds me of designing or creating or building something. But engineering is STEM is also an important process of creating and designing something in order to solve a problem. So we don't have to have a construction. We can have problem solutions, and problem solving is very important in STEM. A has been recently added, and it stands for the arts. but I'm not good at drawing, and luckily art isn't only drawing, it's singing, it's writing, it's speaking, role playing, acting, and we do a lot of those activities with our students. Finally, there is math, and math isn't just a science about numbers. It's about different concepts. I don't know, size, proportion, comparison, form, pattern, etc., etc., etc. So the MOOC I have mentioned you at the beginning. In order to complete the MOOC, I had to design a learning scenario for my students. I titled the project "Should I Breathe or Should I Know?" using the popular song "Should I Stay or Should I Go?" Why did I choose air pollution? You see, I live in a really beautiful city. We have 3 salt lakes in the very center, and in winter we are so famous. Like, these are really packed with people. In summer, sorry. However, in winter, this is like a real photo of the city taken from the hill. You cannot see anything. This is not fog. This is actually smog from the air pollution. This region is known for a large coal power plant and a long history of coal mining, and many people rely on coal as the main source of heating in winter. So the city is situated in a valley surrounded by mountains, and the air pollution causes serial problems. So I wanted my students to learn about causes and effects of air pollution, to employ scientific method, and most importantly, to learn how to protect themselves. So for the introductory lesson, I used KWL method. So know, want to know, and what we have learned. At the beginning, my students could actually name very few causes of air pollution, such as, I don't know, cars, houses, and power plants, and just a few effects like sore eyes, breathing problems, and cough. So to add some technology to the project, I played a video called Air Pollution for Kids to teach them some new information. Also, during this introductory lesson, I introduced Canva. It's an online graphic design tool which my students haven't used before, but they continued to use it during our project and later on in other subjects when making presentations. So let's say in some 10 minutes, I demonstrated how to add text, how to add images, how to add animations, etc., etc. And trust me, by the end of the project, they have actually beat me in using the Canva. Students then listed what they knew from our discussion and what they learned from the video, and we made a one poster. So at this point, they could already say that the causes of air pollution can be both natural and man-made, that it can have an effect on lungs and heart, breathing problems, but also cause acid rains. Then we listed, brainstormed actually some topics to do a research to fulfill our want to learn part. So students suggested number of children affected by air pollution, what diseases it can cause or aggravate, and I have added PM2.5 particles because these are measured in cities' winters. They had 2 weeks to form groups, or I don't know, pairs 2 to 4. They were about to do a research on the topic they chose. They had to make presentations using Canva. They were instructed to pay careful attention to sources and to use data provided by different health institutions. So after 2 weeks, they gave presentations to their classmates. They taught us that these particles are found in smoke, that they get into our lungs and into the bloodstream. They taught us that children are at greater risk because their lungs aren't still developed. They play closer to the ground where the amount of pollutants is higher. Actually, even I didn't know this information. My students have found out that children inhale through their mouth rather than their nose, which actually results in a greater amount of pollutants, inhaled pollutants. We found out that 1.8 billion children breathe polluted air, that it can cause cardiovascular diseases, neurodevelopment problems, cognitive ability problems, and many different diseases. So when we come to the learned part, it had much more information at this time. After their presentations, I scheduled a Zoom meeting with my friend Leila. Leila is an oncologist here at the University Clinical Center, and she speaks excellent English. I wanted her to confirm my students' findings, because one thing is reading about something on the internet, and the other thing is actually hearing it from a doctor. So Leila definitely confirmed the information they had gathered. She explained that the number of ill people, especially children, considerably increases in winter because of the poor air quality. As a doctor working with people with serious health conditions, she also explained how their health deteriorates in winter because of the air pollution. Leila not only confirmed my students' findings, she gave excellent examples on how to protect themselves. So she suggested using apps to monitor air quality, wearing appropriate masks, or using air purifiers inside. She suggested not going out when air quality is poor and reducing outside physical activity. For example, I use these apps to monitor air quality for ages, but somehow in this process of learning, I forgot to mention those to my students. There are several students in this class who can speak English as their mother tongue, and they acted as simultaneous translators during this meeting. So you see this boy here is sitting closely to his classmate, whispering some of the information she couldn't understand or had troubles understanding. Then the time came for the scientific method. We already had our purpose. We wanted to prove that the air that we breathe is dirty. Students did a research. Now was time to set our hypothesis, to do an experiment to either prove or disprove the hypothesis. Students first, in this experiment, students designed air pollution catchers. So this is just a white paper plate. You apply some Vaseline or petroleum jelly on it. You make a hole, put a piece of string to it, and you hang it somewhere for a 2-week period of observation. So students first hypothesized about the outcome. And this is really important part of science in STEM. So I think my air pollution will get dirty. I believe my air pollution catcher will remain clean, etc., etc., etc. So depending on the location of their catchers, they gave different hypotheses. Also, students were instructed to observe the changes on their catchers, so to take photos and to take down notes, etc. Many students suggested, majority of them, placing the catchers above their front doors, but some suggested using contrasting locations to see if different test environments would result in different findings. For example, one student suggested forest as a healthy test environment, and he even designed a protective cover for his catcher. And as you can expect, his catcher remained clean in 2 weeks period. Another student suggested school coal boiler room. So this school is a little bit outside of the city, and it has its own boiler room. So we also burn coal there. The changes on this catcher were really, really quite visible. and quite contrasting, definitely. So their hypothesis that the air that we breathe is dirty was definitely proven true. I explained to my students that PM 2.5 particles cannot be seen by the naked eye, but that there are still some particles that can be seen when you burn coal, and this was actually the another proof. Also, since we traveled to school, and we pass the power plant, this coal power plant, for example, in winter, the snow is always black there. To add more science to my project, I introduced a notion of temperature inversion, actually practical demonstration. So what's temperature inversion? In normal weather conditions, air is warmer closer to the Earth's surface, and with increase in height, the air gets colder. However, under certain natural conditions, the cold air stays down while the warm air goes up and creates this inversion layer, which is actually a trap, or it acts as a lid which doesn't let the smog disperse. Unfortunately, this temperature inversion is a very common phenomena in our winter's city. So to practically demonstrate this temperature inversion, you need really simple tools. So to demonstrate normal weather conditions, you first put cold water dyed in blue, and using a tube and a funnel, you slowly add hot water colored in red. In this case, the two colors mix. However, to demonstrate temperature inversion, you first pour hot water into a jar and then slowly add the cold blue water. And in this case, the cold water pushes the water up, and it creates this an invisible layer between the two, which doesn't let the colors mix, or in our city, which doesn't let the smog disperse. So this experiment demonstrated to students that it is not always the human factor causing or contributing to air pollution, but it also helped us learn and practice some everyday vocabulary, some cooking verbs like pour, mix, stir, boil, etc., etc. To get my students involved into some engineering processes, because I'm like, electricity is my worst enemy number one, I collaborated with technical culture teachers. So in this subject, students are used to apply knowledge in technology in everyday life. So with my colleague Sanela, students were making models of solar-powered house, windmill, and hydroelectric plant. They were very successful in generating electricity. In my learning scenario, these models were to be presented in L1 to their classmates. However, you can only imagine how surprised I was when students started presenting their models and started speaking in English, naming different parts like solar panel, inverter, wind turbine, generator, etc., etc., etc. Then another colleague who teaches math, she also helped us by providing us with a formula. She could have given me this formula, but actually I invited her into the classroom because if we want students to collaborate, we also want to model collaboration. So she helped us calculate how many trees are needed to absorb carbon dioxide produced by this power plant. This power plant produces almost 2.5 million tons of CO2, and one tree can absorb just 21 kilos. So we came to a number like that, almost 120 million trees are needed to absorb this CO2. Also, students have found out that one tree takes 9 square meters, and taking into the consideration the size of the Tuzla Canton, which is like territorial division of the country, we came to a number that 40% of the canton should be covered in trees just to absorb CO2 produced by this power plant. Although many of the activities involved either writing or speaking English, creative writing was definitely a favorite among the students. So I used the song "Should I Stay or Should I Go" to title the project "Should I Stay or Should I No?" And now students were instructed to rewrite the song to fit the context of our topic. So they are singing to Earth, its pollution, they are not finding a solution, they can breathe, it can be free, what am I supposed to do? Don't you know you need me to? Should I breathe or should I know? If I breathe, there will be trouble. If I don't, it will be double. And they have really, really enjoyed in this activity. Also, we had public presentation of the project at the Center for Energy and Ecology in Tuzla. This was done in L1. However, my primary school students, educational system is a bit different here in Bosnia. So they are like 13 years old. They were giving presentations to university students. So you can only imagine how proud they were. Also, we gave project presentation for 2 televisions, one local and one national TV station. The local one made me wear this Miss Molecule costume, and I remember how hot it was. But my students could really feel the impact of their work. Also, this little lovely girl here, Neira, she told me that she always wanted to be in TV, so I made her wish come true. So when you go back, I have had science, technology, and engineering, art, and math, all 5 STEAM areas in this project. What I also love about STEM is that we provide grounds for our students to develop their 21st century skills. Cooperation, critical thinking, communication, and creativity. So students studied air pollution and its effects on human lives. They were developing their skills in stating hypotheses, conducting scientific experience, gathering and analyzing data to test those hypotheses and proposing different solutions. They have further improved their communication skills. So most of the activities they were doing have been, they had to do them in groups. First of all, they had to communicate among themselves. They were giving presentations to their classmates. We were talking to a physician. We were presenting on television. Also, they have developed their collaboration skills because they had to work together to make the presentations, to prepare those models, etc. And finally, they have expressed their artistic side in all these posters you have seen, in presentations, but most importantly for us as language teachers, maybe in their creative writing skills. If we have just few more minutes, I have a very short video my students have made. As I have already told you, they beat me in using Canva. And I use this video to report on the project during the Teachers' Council meeting. Is it okay?
Yes, we have just 5 minutes left, so I think we'll make it. Don't worry.
Okay. Can you hear the music?
Not really. No, we can't hear music.
Just a second. What about now?
Yep.
'Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. sky, 'cause you're a sky full of stars, 'cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do. Cause in the sky full of stars, I think I saw you.
Well, this will be the end of my presentation. I would like, if you have some time, to go to menti.com or to scan this QR code and just write few reflections on my presentations. Since there isn't so many of us at my presentation today, you can give multiple answers as well.
Yeah. We will have just really literally couple of minutes left before we need
Okay.
to, after that we need to end the session. So I don't know if there are still other attendees during this session, but what time is it? It's 20.
I cannot see the chat unless I stop sharing the screen.
No, I'm afraid all the other attendees have left the webinar. There's only one attendee is left, so maybe it's better for us to close because we have run out of time.
Okay.
But I'm sure that all your presentation will have.
It's available, yes.
Yeah, it's still available, and there is also the recording, which will be available for a month. So I'm sure that all the other attendees enjoy your presentation.
Thank you very much.
On behalf, thank you very much for this really interesting and inspiring presentation. So on behalf of TESOL Italy, I would like to thank Jasmina and all the participants for taking part in this session. Certificate of attendance will be available to download from the convention page on the TESOL Italy website after the convention. The next session will be at 2:45, so I think that now there will be the lunch break. So enjoy the rest of the convention, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.